Think your 9 to 5 life is exhausting? Stuck in traffic, drowning in endless paperwork, and stressing out? You probably look at history and wonder, how did ancient humans actually survive day to day? Most people picture a hairy caveman constantly running for his absolute life from a massive, angry, woolly mammoth, just screaming in pure prehistoric terror. Or maybe you picture someone staring blankly at two sticks, rubbing them together for hours just to get a single spark, going to bed freezing, tired, and completely starving. But what if everything you think you know is completely wrong? What if their daily schedule was actually way more relaxing than your modern life? Think about it. Absolutely zero morning traffic gridlock. No corporate middle managers checking up on you at noon. Zero passive-aggressive unread emails sitting in your inbox. And definitely no exhausting 40-hour work weeks. Let's take a look at what reality actually looked like all the way back in 30,000 BC. Morning arrives. There are no buzzing digital alarm clocks, just the natural sun rising over the hills to wake you up. And the absolute first order of business? Getting breakfast. But remember, there's no kitchen fridge to open up and browse. If you want to eat, your tribe has to split up and find it. The hunters head out, gripping their primitive stone spears. But this isn't an epic, fast-paced action movie battle. It's mostly just staring at tracking footsteps in the dirt, walking for 6 hours straight until an animal gets too tired to run. Basically a giant, exhausting prehistoric game of endurance tag. Meanwhile, the gatherers are doing the real heavy lifting. They're combing the area, plucking fresh berries and wild nuts. And here is a little historical fact for you. Up to 70% of the ancient diet came from gathering. That means snacking on plants kept everyone alive day to day. Digging up roots was way more reliable than tracking big game. So those mighty, legendary hunters you always hear about, they were usually just bringing home the occasional side dish. Meat was a luxury bonus, not the daily standard meal. A massive basket of berries was the real jackpot. So if gathering plants and hunting only took a part of the day, how long did they actually spend on survival work? Anthropologists estimate it was only about 3 to 5 hours a day. Once the food was secured for the afternoon, they were completely done. No corporate middle managers calling for a surprise status update. And definitely no phones buzzing with notifications to ruin the peace. So what did they do with the other 12 hours of daylight? They sat around, hung out, and gossiped a whole lot. They also spent hours grooming each other, picking out tiny bugs. It was basically the prehistoric version of a relaxing day spa. Language itself likely evolved so tribes could share local news, figuring out exactly who was trustworthy and who wasn't, and tracking who might be hoarding the best berry patches. It turns out social drama is completely ancient history. When they weren't talking, they kept things incredibly simple, enjoying free time without a single modern worry in mind. Arguments were rare, short, and quickly forgotten by the group. Most of the afternoon was just spent sitting back and chilling, doodling simple designs in the loose dirt with a stick, mastering the art of doing absolutely nothing at all. But it wasn't just gossip and grooming in the sun. Survival still required sharp, reliable gear. The stone tools didn't just appear, they were sculpted. Flint knapping was an incredibly skilled art form. They had to connect those sharp points to spear shafts. And their clothes? Pure engineering, using bone needles and sinew to piece hides together. They were the first great engineers. But they also found another outlet for their leisure hours. The transition from craftsmen to artists was next. To make their art, they ground up red clay ochre into powder. They mixed it with water and started painting directly on the rock, tracing massive mammoths, running deer, and wild horses. They would even place their hand against the cave wall and blow pigment over it to leave a permanent signature. Why did they do it? Maybe they were just completely bored. Maybe it was their version of leaving a review on their living room. Either way, it proves they had plenty of open time to create. But as the afternoon sun finally begins to go down, the temperature drops and the real challenge begins. As the dark night falls, the entire world transforms. Without any heating, the freezing cold quickly sets in. But this is where ancient humans unleash their ultimate superpower. Friction, a few dry leaves, and a tiny bit of patience. Boom! They sparked a blazing fire to life. Everything centered around the warmth of the community campfire. It was their primary defense system against dangerous night predators, keeping the wild animals far away in the dark shadows. It was also their kitchen, roasting up the day's fresh catch. And most importantly, the fire was their evening theater. Without smartphones or televisions to distract them, epic oral storytelling and singing was their version of Netflix, passing down thousands of years of deep tribal history. Sure, prehistoric life was incredibly harsh and dangerous. A simple scratch or injury out in the wild could be fatal, and a bad toothache was a total medical nightmare. But day to day, they mastered the true art of chilling out, living completely in the moment without a single corporate email. Maybe 30,000 BC wasn't so terrible after all. Hit that subscribe button if you trade your office desk for a spear.